The following is a presentation of Learfield IMG College.
This is Duck Insider.
Give it to Wormdahl. He's got the first down and go! Duck fans start celebrating. Oregon is the 2019 Pac-12 champion. The 2020 Rose Bowl champion.
Richardson, another open three. Good! Duarte dribbles and slams with the right hand. For the third time in the last 5 years, the Ducks are Pac-12 champions. Outright champs.
Foley three. Good! Foley ball. Down Shelley. Three ball. Good! Regular season champions and now Pac-12 tournament champions.
Welcome to Duck Insider.
We're just getting started.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College. Presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, here's Joey Mack.
Hey, very happy Friday to everybody joining us. A busy show today. Going to talk with Oregon Volleyball assistant coach Dave Butler as that sport is working out. Yeah, they're getting on the floor, doing things adjusted in this landscape. We're going to talk to Coach Butler about what exactly that means, get to know him, his work with Team USA, what brought him to Oregon. A lot of it's Matt Ulmer. And you know, a question that we talked to Coach Butler earlier because they're actually working out this morning and heading in toward the show. I forgot to ask him the most important question that I wanted to ask him. He's from Chicago, and I really wanted to ask what kind of pizza is best. And I think I know that both he and Matt Ulmer, because Matt Ulmer grew up in Chicago as well, at least for part of his life. I feel like they're all Chicago deep dish guys, but I wanted to know for sure, and I forgot to ask.
I figured it was some sort of food related.
It has to be always. It's always food related. Yeah, it's always food related. We got some news to tell you about as well from Oregon soccer, because Jordan Wormdahl is going to join us. Jordan Wormdahl, the junior forward, as that sport is also beginning and has been working out as best they can, and we'll talk with her about what that means for Oregon soccer. Great interview coming up with her. And I, of course, see all of the same reports that you all do about when conferences might play, what sports could get going, and what things could look like around the country, and so many uncertainties, so many decisions that I'm tired of keeping up with all this. The news cycle moves so fast these days. There's so many big decisions that get made. And I'll say this, I think that the mental health piece of just constantly kicking the can down the road, that really hit home for me when the Pac-12 said that that's why they made the announcement that they did when they did with the postponement. I mean, just the back and forth is so hard on student athletes. And I actually asked Jordan Wormdahl that very question in this interview today. And it seems very pertinent. I talked with Jordan Wormdahl this morning. We had a few different Oregon soccer players. Going to hear from Mia Palmer. Also, Callan Harrington, who is the State of Oregon prep record holder in goals scored. She's now a Duck in her freshman year. We talked to her. We're going to have those interviews for you. Probably not today, but on the show next week. And I asked them that, like, is it nice just to have the clarity? And they were like, yes. Like, everybody, it made me feel better being able to ask that question to student athletes and be like, look, I know this stinks, but knowing is better than just constantly wondering, right? And they were like, yes, 100%. So you can turn your attention toward the spring if you're the Pac-12. Again, I see all the same reports that you all do. You know, what could happen around the country? I don't know. If I pretend to have any inside knowledge, I get it's Duck Insider. I understand. But if I pretend to have truly any inside knowledge into the decision-making process, I would be lying to you. We're all just trying to figure out the best way to do this and do this the right way. What that means, I have no idea. And I'm tired of keeping track of it, to be honest. So we're just going to do a fun show. We're going to do a great show today. We're going to get to know some student athletes. We're going to get to know a coach. And maybe we'll have clarity. I don't know. Last night, though, as the sports landscape continues to respond to social and racial injustice in the world, a very powerful tweet from @GoDucks. Very simple imagery with the O and the fist, reminiscent of Jesse Owens, but just with the hashtag Black Lives Matter. Mario Cristobal also last night with a strong statement in all capital letters: end racism, everyone, defeat racism, bring about positive change. Well said, Coach Cristobal, @Coach_Cristobal on Twitter. That's our head coach. I'm proud of it. The NBA also announced that the playoffs will resume on Saturday, a joint statement between the league and the NBA Players Association. It read as follows. We had a candid, impassioned, and productive conversation yesterday between NBA players, coaches, and team governors regarding next steps to further our collective efforts and actions in support of social justice and racial equality. Among others, the attendees included player and team representatives of all 13 teams in Orlando. All parties agreed to resume NBA playoff games on Saturday, August 29th, with the understanding that the league, together with the players, will work to enact the following commitments. Number one, the NBA and its players have agreed to immediately establish a social justice coalition with representatives from players, coaches, and governors that will be focused on a broad range of issues, including increasing access by voting, promoting civic engagement, and advocating for meaningful police and criminal justice reform. The statement continued to say that the second point will be that in every city where the league franchise owns and controls the arena property, team governors will continue to work with local election officials to convert the facility into a voting location for the 2020 general election to allow for a safe in-person voting option for communities vulnerable to COVID. And they also continued to say that the league will work with the players and our network partners to create and include advertising spots in each NBA playoff game dedicated to promoting greater civic engagement in national and local elections and raising awareness around voter access and opportunity. That's a pretty big statement from the NBA and the NBA Players Association. It's all about just getting out there and voting. That's really what it comes down to. And that's what the players want. That's what they want to see. But a pretty strong statement and strong images with a lot of messages as the sport world makes a statement. Really, the entire sports world makes a statement. And it's a big one. And it should be a big one. Meanwhile, as we continue to talk about what is going on at Oregon, and this is actually very, very pertinent. So Dave Butler, who, we talked to Coach Butler earlier, he actually did answer my question. He said, to answer your question we missed out on, I prefer Lou Malnati's deep dish pizza. That's so specific. That's great from Coach Butler. Hey, thanks for tuning in, Coach. And, yeah, we're going to have that interview in just a little while. They're just getting off the practice floor, I believe, going through some workouts, and Coach Butler going to tell us a little bit about that. Also, the weekend schedule is actually now very interesting because you do have the NBA playoffs going on. But it's pretty awesome. Remember, tomorrow is the start of the Athletes Unlimited Softball League as well. That starts tomorrow. And 3 Pro Ducks are in the first game. You can find the full schedule as part of your GoDucks Pro Ducks viewing guide, which is available on GoDucks.com. Rob Mosley updates it with a post every week, and that's going to be awesome. I'm honestly really excited for this. Athletes Unlimited, if you missed our interview with Gwen Savekis, check it out either on the Oregon Sports Network podcast, or if you want to go back and watch on YouTube or Facebook or on the OSN Twitter account, you can do so, as the very first game will be on ESPN2, 10 a.m., and 3 of the 4 Pro Ducks that are participating in the Athletes Unlimited League are going to be in it, which is pretty darn cool. Also, unless things have changed, Tyler Anderson is the projected starter tonight against the Arizona Diamondbacks for the San Francisco Giants at 6:40. Coming off maybe the best start of Tyler Anderson's MLB career. Looking forward to that. And on Saturday, Ruthie Hebert and the Chicago Sky are on ABC. That's right. Against the Seattle Storm at 11 a.m., Ruthie Hebert and the Chicago Sky. And Satu Sabali and the Dallas Wings play Saturday against the Indiana Fever at 1 p.m. on CBS. That means Pro Ducks on the national networks on ABC and CBS, which is pretty cool on Saturday as the WNBA continues to get a lot of visibility. Coming up, we're going to have that conversation with Dave Butler, so stick with us. I'm Joey Mack. A lot more to get to, including the latest from Vernon Adams and Big Play VA. Yeah, we're going to tell you about that too. I'm Joey Mack. It's Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. More coming up inside the Country Financial Studio after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield IMG College.
Whoa, long time no see. It's me, the Rock t-shirt in the back of your closet. Dude, remember? You crowd surfed in me, man. But you haven't worn me in like forever. I get it, you're retired, but I still got some rock left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff, create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
I wasn't prepared to be a caregiver to Mom. I had no idea how hard it would be and what I would need to know. Things I never thought of, like how to improve her mood and ways for me to stay positive. Luckily, I found the Caregiving Resource Center from AARP. It had articles about the basics, but also information about the hurdles I was facing.
Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving. Articles, tips, and tools to help you both care for your loved one and care for yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Today's show, always brought to you by Jackson's Food Stores, proud sponsor of the University of Oregon Ducks. Everyday specials on all the necessities that you'll need for the big game. Go Ducks and head to Jackson's. Oregon Volleyball Assistant Coach Dave Butler, had a great conversation with him. He answered the important question, deep dish pizza. Yeah. Important. These are the important things. This is what we need to know. Dave Butler, though, was a great time catching up with the Oregon Volleyball assistant coach. Really fun interview. We did it this morning. They're just getting off the practice floor from their modified workouts today. And Dave Butler's going to tell you a little bit about that. Every coach interview this year brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Fight like a duck with cancer care you can count on. Our conversation with Oregon Volleyball assistant coach Dave Butler. Talking with Oregon Volleyball assistant coach Dave Butler, we're going to talk about a lot of different things here over the course of the interview. Dave, first of all, thanks for joining us, Coach. I mean, this is a wild time to be alive, and we'll get to that in a moment. But I don't know if you've been prepped by Coach Ulmer or anybody else who's ever been on the show. Maybe you've seen me do this. Maybe you're expecting this. Maybe you're not. I don't know. But everybody who comes on the show for the first time, they have to tell their 2-minute life story to kick things off. So, Dave Butler, the 2-minute life story.
2-minute life story. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. 2-minute life story of Dave Butler. Well, I grew up in Chicago, and I started off as a PE and health teacher after I graduated from the Western Illinois University. Did that for about a year in the city. I was at Lane Tech High School doing like freshman PE and health. There was a lot of cutbacks in the CPS school district, so I was one of them. There's 35 teachers just in my school alone that lost their job that year. So I was always coaching volleyball. I played volleyball since I was a freshman in high school, and then I played at Western, and always coached a coach club, and I couldn't get another teaching job, so I was like, well, I need to figure something else out. I reached out to Long Beach State about 3 or 4 times, texting and calling Matt. We had a mutual friend. I wanted to be their volunteer and just try to get my foot in the door and start coaching college. Finally, after about 4 emails, he said, yeah, let's meet up at a tournament that we were both coaching at. So I met him, and I met Erica, our other assistant right now, who is also coaching Long Beach State. They said, yeah, we'd love to have you come out, do camps. So literally within 2 weeks, I packed up my car and I drove out to Southern California, and I was a volunteer for Long Beach State for a season. Matt left for Oregon, which was nice because that was the only person I knew in Southern California, and after 6 months, he's gone. And then I got the head, or not the head coaching job, but the full-time assistant job at Cal State Fullerton. So I was there for 3 years. Then Matt got the interim job here. He said he needed one more assistant, so I said, let's do it. And then he got the full-time contract after that season. Then we brought Erica on, and now I'm in my 5th year here and loving it.
That was exactly 2 minutes.
No,
I'm dead serious. I was timing it. I have never had anyone. I've never had anyone exactly hit 2 minutes. So we need to give you a plaque or something. I mean,
yeah.
Normally, Dave, you got to understand, like, when I ask that question, it's like 30 seconds or it's like 5 minutes. You know, it's rare that people actually nail it. So, wow, I'm floored. This is a momentous day on Duck Insider. Dave Butler, Oregon Volleyball assistant coach, joining us. Dave, first, before we talk a little more volleyball, I got to ask then, everybody, I think, was entertained by The Last Dance. Are you a Bulls fan?
Oh, diehard. Yes, when that came on during the pandemic. I was like, finally, something. I'm looking forward to that thing for like 2 years. They've been talking about it.
Well, that's perfect. This is great. See, so it was actually a good connection then to Chicago. So, all right, I got to ask more. How does a Chicago guy have a mutual friend with Mr. Southern California and Matt Ulmer himself? How did that happen? How did you guys actually be able to connect?
So Matt also grew up in Chicago for the first half of his life.
Right.
And then he played at Carthage College in Kenosha, Wisconsin. So a guy that I played with in club was on his team at Carthage. And his girlfriend went to Western Illinois, and he would come and, just come to our practices once in a while, and he was trying to get me a transfer. So I almost played at Carthage with Matt. So I did like an official visit and stuff. And then I saw Matt out there. I'm like, I don't want to go here. No, it just wasn't for me, so I didn't transfer. But that was our mutual friend, and so I was looking him up, and that's kind of how we got connected.
Interesting. It's funny the way that you make these connections throughout your life, and then you end up, coming to Oregon and spending 5 years so far as the assistant coach. I mean, it really is amazing how it happens. And, of course, I joke about Matt being Mr. Southern California with his socks and sandals. He's a Chicago guy, too, so I get it. And also Dave Butler, yeah, he's wearing socks and sandals. Yes.
Matt mandates it. It's part of our protocol. So.
Hey, in all seriousness, do you guys actually do this? Or is it more just a joke because it became such a thing whenever Matt came on the show with me? Like, be honest here.
Oh, absolutely a joke. This is so uncomfortable. I hate it.
I'm glad.
Well, yeah, no. He does it because the girls hate it. Absolutely hate it. I'm taking them off right now because it's really bothering me. No, the girls hate it. He also used to like really tuck in his shirt and pull his pants up really high for like camp, and the girls just hated it, so he kept doing it. But he's finally untucked his shirt. But he does do the sock and sandals. He actually does do that.
So that's not it. So that wasn't just a joke that he did one day.
No, he always does.
Okay, while we're on the subject, I'm going to ask you, I swear, more about like volleyball here in a second. Most radio appropriate, embarrassing story that you can tell us about head coach Matt Ulmer.
Oh man, yeah. I really don't listen to any of his stuff because he's got such an ego. I just get enough of him in the gym. So I don't know if I really have an embarrassing one because he loves it so much that he's just always prepared.
I think that might be the story right there.
No, that's what I'm saying. He's so prepared. He just always wants it. So I don't really have one, unfortunately.
Dave Butler, Oregon assistant coach, joining us. All right, let's talk a little bit about volleyball. And I'm kind of curious, Dave. Just how has this changed for you guys? I mean, I talked to Matt a little bit about it, and you guys are able to work out now with some voluntary stuff. I mean, just give fans the overview of how this has really changed for you guys in the last, really in the last few weeks, in addition to the last few months.
Yeah, I mean, we reported, and literally that week, we found out that the season was going to be canceled. So it was very strange. We didn't think we were going to be able to practice, but administration said that we were going to be able to, and they were going to allow us to do voluntary practices. So luckily, every girl that we had decided, yes, I'm going to stay and I want to practice with you guys. So we're a pretty dedicated group. We're finishing our second week now. It's very strange because today was supposed to be our first match for the normal season. But yeah, we're in our second week. We have to figure out how to get as much touches as we can in maybe an hour or so with no more than 6 players at a time.
Right.
So we won't be doing any 6-on-6. We're doing just a lot of individual stuff, and but the girls are doing great. They get to still work out, and they're doing a really good job so far.
I know you guys have a close connection with a lot of coaches around the country. Coaches all know each other, right? I mean, how much have you guys talked to other coaches around the country and just kind of exchanging ideas of how are you combating all this right now?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are really dealing with a lot of the depression stuff. So that's something that we've been talking to other coaches about. Southern California, they're not even practicing yet. I know at Stanford, they built outdoor courts so that they can do stuff.
Wow.
There's just all these different ideas that people do. So, I mean, I don't think that we're going to be doing that because right now what we're doing is working, and we're on the right track to start to get 6-on-6 in a few weeks, hopefully. So.
Good to know. Dave Butler, Oregon assistant, joining us. You know, you touched on something, Dave. I think it's a heavy topic, but it's an important one for sure. Is the mental health of all the student athletes that are dealing with this, the coaches too. I mean, that is a really big, significant piece of all this.
Yeah, it's crazy how just being isolated for so long will do that to you. So it's like, you know, a lot of them were home, so it wasn't as bad. But now they're here, and you have to isolate for 7 days, and you don't get to talk to anybody. So that, especially the freshmen coming in, that was probably the hardest part because they're thinking they're going to come in and then they're going to start practicing and just get into volleyball, but they had to isolate for 7 days and not see their teammates. And it had to be the hardest time to be a freshman this year.
No doubt. There's no doubt about that. But you mentioned the team kind of ramping up toward 6-on-6. So what's the outlook now, Coach? I mean, what's kind of the plan ahead for you guys to still be working on your craft?
Yeah, so we're going to keep doing this, and then once we get the go-ahead to start doing more 6-on-6 stuff, we'll start doing that. The NCAA announced last week that they're planning on doing a spring season, so that'll take place in about April, and it'll be 6 weeks of a season and 2 weeks of an NCAA tournament with only 32 teams instead of 64. And so that's the idea. They're still trying to talk about if there's going to be like a bubble or how they're going to regionalize it, and there's still, or even what the season's going to look like, how we're going to do 6 weeks of a season playing 12 teams. So, you know, they're still figuring it out, but there is light at the end of the tunnel.
You know, that's got to be the hardest thing. I know it is for us, like just in my little bubble of this, right? Trying to figure out how do you do broadcast? How do we plan for broadcast? How do we get that lined up? I mean, for you guys, it's just a whole much larger conversation. I mean, just that's got to be the worst part of this. Is that the worst part of this? Is just the unknown, and you can plan for all these different things, then you have no idea if you're actually going to be able to execute the plan?
Yeah, absolutely. That was a lot of the players' issues with like the voluntary stuff. Like, why are we voluntarily doing all these practices for so long if we don't even get to play? So it's like the school isn't in session yet, so
right.
They're just here. So yeah, it's very strange to just kind of be on the edge and not knowing if it's actually going to happen. But they're giving us hope, so we're going to hold on to that.
You know, the other side of that, though, I would imagine, is you do have that hope right now, but you also want competitors that are just going to try and get better just to get better, right? I imagine you guys are probably hitting on that, too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, none of them left. So that was a thought in their head, but they all know that we had a rough season last year with all the injuries and being so young. So this is like a really good opportunity that we get all this training. So, and even if we do have the spring, they don't lose a year of eligibility. That was another thing that the NCAA said. So they basically get a year of training. We get to get a year older and not lose any years.
Dave Butler joining us, Oregon Volleyball assistant coach. I want to talk a little bit more about you, Coach, and just get to know you a little bit, because I know you've worked with Team USA quite a bit.
Yeah.
Just what's that process been like, and just how rewarding of an experience is that, being to coach with Team USA?
Yeah, so I did that with the youth, and so that's the probably 8th grade to freshman, best kids in the country. So it's so rewarding to get to do that, and they get to compete against like the Dominican Republic, and you know, I really just do it for the kids and kind of make connections with other coaches around the country. You're coaching with club coaches, you're coaching with mid-major coaches, so it's kind of like volleyball is kind of a small community, so it's really nice to make all those connections, and it's really fun to get to do it. Matt does it too, so we kind of get to switch off years because they don't let 2 coaches do it, but it's been a lot of fun.
You know, I'm curious, with that work, you're seeing the best young people in the country and even internationally in the sport. I mean, just it leads me to kind of think, what do you look for in a recruit, and has your vision of what you look for in a recruit evolved as you've coached younger athletes?
Yeah, I mean, the big advantage of doing that is you get to know the kids. So you get to work with them already. So since they're the best in the country, and you know that's what we want to be, you kind of get to know a lot of those kids and see if they would kind of be a good fit. with your program, and you kind of see how they work. But yeah, it's a really rewarding experience with all those girls, and they do a really good job at USA of kind of getting the best of the best through this. They do like different trial processes, and it's just a lot of fun.
You were an outside hitter. What do you look for in an outside hitter? What do you look for in a recruit in general? I mean, what makes a good volleyball player in this day and age?
It seems to change. One thing we really look at is how they're interacting on the court when they're losing with their teammates or with the coaches, even with their parents. It's a big thing this year, or not this year, but nowadays is are they looking at their parents in between if they're struggling? Are they looking at their coaches? Are they engaging with their teammates? But then all the other stuff, being athletic, jumping high, being tall, those are things that'll get us to come to your court. But your personality on the court is going to be huge, and your attitude on the court is going to be huge for us. Similarly
to that, I'm always curious for a coach's thought process on when you're doing a scout, when you're scouting a recruit, when you're scouting the other team. I mean, all these different ways that you guys break down talent, break down teams. What's kind of your starting point when you go about that process? And I guess what are some of the things that you look for as you put together a scouting report?
So for a scouting report, I'm going to watch basically every swing that their players are taking. So if I'm doing Stanford last year, I'm going to watch every swing that Catherine Plummer did. I'm going to chart it on a piece of paper and just kind of see if there's any kind of tendency that she has. If she likes to hit here a certain percentage of the time, so that we can kind of develop where we want to block her or where we want to try to get her to hit. So like Georgia Murphy is one of the best liberos that we've had and in the conference. So maybe we want to block more lines so that Catherine has to try to hit balls towards her, but just kind of seeing tendencies and if we can exploit those a little bit.
I know you've worked with video too. I mean, how much has video changed, really all sports, but volleyball in particular, with the way that you guys can scout and just the amount of film that's available on other teams?
Yeah, now it's crazy. I mean, even when I was at Long Beach, that was not even I think it was 7 years ago, or I don't know. It was within 10 years ago. We were still sending DVDs to people. So now it's just on a database, and you have every match that was played in the NCAA that day, and it's all broken down by touch. So, I mean, you go in and you say, I want to see Catherine Plummer's swings in set 3, and you'll have all of her swings and just go one to one. You don't have to watch the whole video.
If I had told you 10 years ago that would be a thing, what would you have said?
I'd say hallelujah. Watch 2 hours of film from one match this day. Amazing.
Dave Butler, Oregon Volleyball assistant coach, joining us. All right, lastly, I got to ask you because Coach Ulmer said that you also, like me, have not gotten a haircut since this all started. So, I mean, how long is it now?
So normally I have it really short. So I haven't got a cut since March. So it's probably a good, 6 inches.
Well,
and my hair
done.
It's so thick and wavy, makes me seasick.
So you're the only other person I know that hasn't gotten it cut actually since this all started. So I'm on record.
My girlfriend really likes it, so she wants me to keep it.
Good.
So.
Well, I'm on record saying that I wouldn't get mine cut until we played sports again, and unfortunately now I'm kind of eating that a little bit.
No, I love it. So good.
So maybe you and I can do this together to make me feel a little bit better about
it. Solidarity. Here we go.
Man, I love it. Dave Butler, hey, this has been great getting to know you a little bit. I know that fans really appreciate it, and I know you got practice to get to, so I won't keep you. But we'll do this again. Thanks for the time. Thanks for what you do for all the student athletes, and good luck out there. Here's to getting to 6-on-6 a little bit sooner than later, and that spring season coming around the corner.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
That was great talking with Dave Butler. He's right. Solidarity in the haircut, Scott. You got your haircut. I mean, what the heck were you thinking?
I got mine cut just to make yours stand out a little bit.
Thanks, man. That was Dave Butler, Oregon Volleyball assistant coach, joining us. That was great catching up with him. More to come. We're going to talk to Jordan Wormdahl. Some good stuff from Vernon Adams, and also basketball has lost an icon. We're going to tell you about that when we come back. It's Stuck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Inside the Country Financial Studio, I'm Joey Mack on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Mountain Dew Zero Sugar presents an original that's now maybe even better. Humpty Dumpty.
Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty don't they had a delicious Mountain Dew, zero sugar, with the same refreshing taste as the original, but with zero sugar. And all the king's horses, all the king's men, couldn't get Humpty to try a different zero sugar soda again.
Mountain Dew Zero Sugar. As good as the original, maybe even better.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
All right, everybody in the car. Let's go.
What are we going to do first when we get there, Mom? Go for a hike?
Sure.
What about canoeing? Can we go canoeing, too?
I don't see why.
How long does it take to get to the forest?
It's not that far, sweetie.
Are we there yet?
Yep, we're here.
Already?
It's a short drive from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
They say that car crashes happen in slow motion. The reality is that crashes happen fast. There's no time to think and no time to check if your child is in the right car seat. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your kids in the right seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Get more info at safercar.gov/the-right-seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack inside the Country Financial Studio. And today's show brought to you by Shadow Hills Country Club, your family resort, just minutes from home. Call for a tour today. That was really fun catching up with Dave Butler. I really enjoyed that. Unfortunately, though, some bad news for you this segment as basketball has lost an icon in Lute Olson passing away. Spent 24 seasons at Arizona, revitalizing a fan base in the desert while transforming a program that had been to the NCAA tournament. This is shocking. Just 3 times in 79 years before Lute Olson was hired in 1983. I'll say that again. Arizona had been there to the NCAA tournament 3 times in 79 years prior to Lute Olson arriving as the head coach of the Wildcats. He took the Wildcats to the NCAA tournament in his second season, and he made it to 25 consecutive NCAA tournaments leading the Wildcats. Streak would have been the 3rd longest in the NCAA history. That's pretty unbelievable. The Wildcats won a national championship under Lute Olson in 1997 with a team led by the guys named Mike Bibby, Jason Terry, Miles Simon. Olson's Arizona teams reached the Final Four 4 times and lost the 2001 national title game, but still won that one in 97. Lost an icon. And Scott Phillips has been at Oregon longer than most, actually, and he started here as a young man. He's still a young man, all right, Scott? But this was really cool that Scott went and found this. So the last time that Lute Olson was at Mac Court, he spoke to the media during the final season for the Ducks at Mac Court. He was retired at the time, and the Ducks recognized him. I believe they gave him a game ball, right, Scott? Yeah, gave him a game ball. And he had some great things to say about the pit, and he shared some great memories, and we thought, what a better way to honor Lute Olson than hearing from the coach talking about Mac Court. It's pretty cool.
I think it's great. I think it's a great way to commemorate the pit and all the wonderful experiences that the people of Oregon have had in watching basketball here. The funniest thing was the first year that I was up here. You know, Arizona had been 1-17 in the Pac-10 the year before, so we had a huge rebuilding job. But came up here, and prior to halftime, the officials were not calling anything. It was like ridiculous. So I really got my ire up and started out on the floor after McJunkin and my assistant hit me around the waist and trying to hold me back. And, of course, I got a tee, and the fans booed like crazy, you know. And so I came out second half with the team. And as soon as I walked on the court, it was just boo, you know, all around. And so I did a bow to each 4 directions. And when I finished that, the fans applauded and I think sort of took the edge off it. But there are a lot of memories of playing here, some pleasant and some not so pleasant. Well, I'll tell you, I think it's the toughest venue for a visiting team to play in. And I thought Purdue was tough when I was at Iowa for 9 years, and Cameron Indoor has that reputation. But I still think that it's tougher at McCourt than it is anywhere else, because the fans are so close, and the fans understand basketball, and they really come to cheer on the Ducks. I mean, they may get on us, but that's not their primary thing. The primary thing is to come here and cheer for the Ducks, and I think that's great for college athletics when you have that.
That was Lute Olson talking on January 16th, 2010, and his last trip to McCourt was retired. Ducks recognized him as part of McCourt's final season, and we thought, what a great way to honor such a great man. He owns a school record for wins at Arizona. Truly a great man. Lute Olson was 85 years old, as basketball has lost an icon here today and last night. Coming up, we're going to hear from Jordan Wormdahl and also from Vernon Adams as Duck Insider continues after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
Welcome back for another episode of ASMR with Alex. Today, we're exploring the delicious, refreshing sounds of Pepsi. Oh, spilled a little there, but don't worry, it's all under control. Now for the best part. Pepsi. That's what I like. Nailed it. My subscriber is gonna love this one.
Locally owned Bigfoot Beverages is proud to support the Oregon Ducks. Go Ducks. Drink Pepsi.
This is the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Okay, man, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. Cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments, because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Show the world that you're tougher than tough. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Is that a faucet running?
That's not a faucet. That's a river rushing through the forest. Forest rivers provide over 100 million people with clean water to drink.
What? I can't hear you because of the vacuum.
That's not a vacuum. That's the trees in the forest cleaning up the air we breathe.
I didn't know the trees were so amazing.
Yep, and the forest gives us shade, trees to climb.
That's awesome. Let's go explore some more.
Visit the forest today and enjoy all it does, just for you. To learn more about the forest and find one near you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Joey Mack welcoming you back to Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union inside the Country Financial Studio. Today's show brought to you by the North Fork Public House, open for dine-in and takeout, northforkeugene.com. Got a chance earlier today to catch up with Jordan Wormdahl of Oregon Soccer, junior, heading into her junior season forward. Started the season with a bang last year, scored a goal in her first 4 matches, and she scored 7 goals last season on 15 shots. We talked to her about a wide range of topics, what it's been like training under first-year head coach Graham Abel, how life has changed, and that light at the end of the tunnel for them that is that spring season scheduled by the Pac-12. Jordan Wormdahl, we had a great conversation from Oregon Soccer. Talking soccer with Jordan Wormdahl, kind enough to take some time out of her busy schedule to join us. First, Jordan, let's start with, hi, how are you? Things going well in a crazy time so far, I hope?
Yeah, hi, I'm good. Yeah, we're kind of just getting back to some normalcy, so it's actually been better than usual.
Yeah, you mentioned getting back to normalcy. Let's talk a little bit about that. I know that the postponement to the spring is unfortunate, but you guys are still able to work out now as a team. Tell us a little bit about what that's been like so far.
Yeah, it was really crazy because at first, like, we were told you're just done and we were going to get sent home. And then about 4 hours later, we were told, actually, you can stay. We're going to do 20-hour weeks and we're just going to start how we would start fall camp usually. And we're just not going to play games. And so it definitely was like a mental adjustment, like having to do those 20-hour weeks and not play games. But I think everyone's really adjusted well. And we're kind of looking at this as a really good opportunity for us to get better and be the best team we can be when we do get the opportunity to play.
You know, I love that mindset. I mean, it is sort of like you have that in the back of your mind, I imagine, like, well, what are we playing for now, right? But you still want to get better every day at your craft, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I'm curious. Or go ahead, Jordan. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, especially with that, like, long break and stuff, like getting back, knocking the dust off and all that stuff.
Well, that's actually what I was just about to say. We're on the same page. I mean, it had been so long because you guys, I think that it's maybe lost on fans that you guys also didn't get your spring season either. I mean, that was an adjustment, wasn't it?
Yeah. Like, I think people forget, like, for soccer, like, we play about 8 games in the spring, and they don't count for anything, but that's a really big chunk of time that you just lose. And we were just home and people were trying to find trainers and trying to find places to play. And then you throw on top of it, COVID's going on. So it's just like a mess and people are living back at home. And just, there was a lot of uncertainty and a lot of like, I mean, the coaches are giving us workouts to do, but for the first like 2 months, like, people couldn't even get into gyms. I think even when people came back, like, some places people couldn't even get into gyms when they came back because just COVID had shut everything down. And so having to do, 5 months of like air squats is like, it's really difficult to jump back into Pac-12 soccer after that.
Jordan Wormdahl joining us. You know, Jordan, I got to ask, because you mentioned just the process of how life changed, still working out. I mean, just how much did you talk to your teammates about, like, hey, what are you guys doing during this time? I mean, that's got to be tough.
Yeah, thankfully I lived with like 4 of them, and like we just all stayed in Eugene and figured it out together. And we got really lucky that me and another teammate like started working out at Forever Strong in town, and they kept the gym open and just like followed all the protocols, and we were able to work out for about 2 months, 2 to 3 months there. And I got surgery, so I was also coming off of surgery, and so I had a little bit different just experience with all of this because for me it was nice to have a lot of downtime because I had the time to really get back and make sure I was strong and ready to go again. But yeah, we talked daily about like, okay, did this workout work for you, or did this not work for you, or how did you make this harder, or what did you do? So yeah, we kind of like, we all worked through it together, and thankfully the coaches were really hands-on with us at that time, and so they made sure everything was working for us too.
Well, the obvious follow-up here is, who do you live with and who's the best cook?
Well, I used to live with Eden, Mia, True, and Shar. And now I live with Eden and Mia. We like literally just moved within like the last like 2 days. And so it's been really crazy over here. But Eden, I think, is definitely the best cook. She definitely cooks the most. And she has a very wide variety of like what she knows how to cook. Me and Mia are more like frozen food people. I would say we have our staples that we can make, but we definitely like, if Eden's gonna make dinner, we'll be like, oh, we'll buy the food for you to make dinner. But yeah,
I was that roommate when I was in college at Oregon. I was the one everyone would be like, yeah, we'll buy this. You got it. And I actually loved it. Well, I have to tell you, Jordan, I mean, we're going to talk to Mia here in about 15 minutes.
That's what you said, yeah.
I'm going to be able to confirm what you're saying. This is great. In all seriousness, though, Jordan, I imagine that with everything that's gone on, and I know there's disappointment. I mean, you mentioned that the coaches are so involved. I got to say, it's probably great that Coach Manny is still around, isn't it? I mean, I know you guys have a special bond with Coach Manny.
Yeah, it was definitely nice. Like, it was, again, hard mentally because when coaching staff gets fired, you're thinking everyone's getting wiped, and then people are making decisions left and right. And it was a lot of uncertainty, and I felt bad because, we're in the dark, and then also Lisa and Rob Mullins are like doing their best to find us the best like coach possible. And so they're like trying to give us input, but they can't tell us anything about who they're keeping, who they're not keeping. And so that definitely was like a rocky period, I would say, just like for everyone. And coming off of a losing season is really hard too. And so, and I was hurt, and it was just like very emotional that way. But yeah, it's very nice that Manny's staying and is going to be with us too. He has a lot of relationships with a lot of us and is super close with us. And so I'm glad that he's there, and we're really close with his family too. And so it's glad I'm glad that like they're still part of our duck community.
You know, I was talking with Coach Abel actually about this a few weeks ago. Just what a first year did he sign up for? I mean,
oh my God.
You know, but what's it been like working with Coach Abel so far, as much as you guys have been able to?
Yeah, well, it's been amazing so far. Like thankfully we got basically a whole winter term. We got sent home in the last like end of it, but we had already finished training that way. And I think in a weird way, he like set himself up for success in like the craziest way possible, because he came in very hands-on and very like, he broke us into small groups, and we were training in groups of 6 to like 3 and throughout the winter. And it was a ton of work for the coaching staff, but for us, it was really nice because we got like one-on-one work with all of the coaches at all times. And so that was like super cool. And then now we did that all in the winter. We had already built a relationship with him. Within like 3 months, we felt like we actually knew him, which was really nice. And then we go into COVID. You know, we had meetings weekly, and we, did as much as we could on Zoom that you can do. And they were like super great about like, they called us weekly and checked in on us and made sure we were okay. And then also we come back into the fall, and we've already done small group training. We already know what that looks like. He's already has the data on it. He's already set up all of those practice plans and all that stuff. And so moving into COVID, it was actually like very fluid for a lot of us that were here in the winter. I felt that way because we had already trained this. And so, I mean, somehow he set himself up for success in that way. I have no idea if that's just luck, or maybe he's just like so smart that he like knew what was going to happen. I don't know. I wouldn't put it past him if he did, but yeah, he's been great so far. He's definitely brought a refreshing and like, just new upbeat like light to the program, which has been really cool.
I think that's great to hear, and maybe he makes his own luck in some regards.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's a way that you can definitely go about doing that. Jordan Wormdahl, I guess. Jordan, how about what are you telling the freshmen right now who are going to have a very different first year experience on campus than you guys did a few years ago?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a mix between. Like you're a friend, like we all look back to our freshman year and we're like, all right, like you're going to make some dumb mistakes. We all make some dumb mistakes. We all do something we like sleep in and we're rushing to practice, or we forget our cleats, or like we all do that. But for the rest of us, like that happens when you're playing games. And so you forget your cleats to your away trip to Stanford or something like that, and then you're scrambling. And so like part of us were like, dude, you got it easy. Like you got it really easy right now, because all you're doing is training. All you got to do is show up. We're not playing games. We don't have a starting lineup. Just figure it out. But no, we're still just like, trying to help them like manage through all of this, and trying to help them, like stay at home and like don't hang out with a ton of people, and figure out school. Thankfully we haven't started school yet, so we haven't had to jump that hurdle yet with them, but they've been great so far, and they're like super hard workers, and they're like kind of like Graham, they're bringing we have so many of them, so they're bringing this new exciting energy, which is nice, and they're doing great so far, so we haven't had to do much. But yeah, definitely just kind of helping them work through the growing pains of college soccer has been good. But this time period has been really crucial for them, which is I'm excited for them, because like 99% of college freshmen don't get this time period.
True.
And so helping them understand like how crucial it is and how beneficial it can be for their future has been like really cool too.
How about academically, Jordan? I mean, how did this change for you in the spring? Distance learning is tough, but I feel like, though, athletes, you guys probably have a little bit more experience than the average student with that, because you guys are doing a little bit of the distance learning on road trips.
Yeah.
I mean, what was that like for you and for the team?
I think, well, for some reason, our team was just throwing people on the dean's list, and our GPA went up. I don't know. I guess we liked it because everybody started doing really good in school, but we've always been a super strong academic school, and I think that first term was definitely difficult and definitely some growing pains in that sense, especially with some really hard classes, a lot of us that are older in our major, and you're that kind of sucks. I've literally taken my first full year of my major online, and so that's just kind of a weird adjustment. You're oh, I'm finally gonna get into smaller classrooms and have more one-on-one with the teacher, and then you're no, you're online.
Yeah.
And so that's been weird for me. I have definitely dove straight into I have a notebook for a to-do list for every single day, and I have a planner, and then I also have a huge calendar on my wall, and I just have to be very OCD about it, and that's how I get it done. But I think for some reason everyone's adjusted really well, and I think it's because when we think about our fall season, when we leave Wednesday morning and we get back Sunday night.
Right.
And so we're never in class. And so doing distance learning when the class is in person is twice as hard as doing distance learning when it's all online. And so I think for us, it's been a pretty fluid adjustment that way. And, athletes are usually used to rolling with the punches anyway. And so I think that's definitely helped us with dealing with adversity as well.
Yeah, I was going to say the adversity, you guys have done that. Athletes have all been through that. You guys have the skills necessary to do it. And, you guys have always been a very strong academic program, like you alluded to, Jordan. Let's call a spade a spade. The soccer team has been one of the highest GPAs on campus at Oregon as long as I've been around in the last 10 years. So, congratulations on that and a way to keep it going. Well, Jordan, this has been great to catch up with you. I wish you the best of luck. And here's to the spring season. Everybody, I hope, does their part. Enjoy the workouts as best you can, and thanks for taking the time to talk with us. I know it's great for fans to be able to connect with you guys, and good luck the rest of the way.
Yes, thank you so much. It's been great.
Jordan Wormdahl from Oregon Soccer, junior forward, joining us. We talked with her this morning. We're going to talk to Mia Palmer, also Callan Harrington coming up over the course of next week on the show. We caught up with them this morning. Updates on Oregon Soccer, how some of those student athletes are handling this. Well, significant change. There's no doubt about that. Coming up, the Pac-12 Network is going to be airing some fun Oregon things, and Vernon Adams pretty excited about it. We're going to end the show with that. Big Play VA. That's a good way to send you into the weekend. More Duck Insider presented by On Point Community Credit Union coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Hundo P. Hundo P. Adjective. Short for being 100% sure or certain. As in, if we get a puppy, I'll Hundo P always walk it.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yep, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Joey Mack with you, Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union inside the Country Financial Studio. Part of your weekend schedule starts tomorrow bright and early. Pac-12 Network's going to air the 2015 Oregon football season. Vernon Adams is excited about it. Big Play VA, at BigPlay_VA, tweeted about it. It's pretty funny. If you're tired of binge watching on Netflix, here's something else for you to binge watch. Starting tomorrow, that's Saturday, 6 a.m. to 5 p.m., Pac-12 Network playing the 2015 Oregon football season. Vernon, though, saying it doesn't get good until 11 a.m. when we play UW, then go on a 6-game win streak. Vernon Adams gave us some great memories. Scott and I were just talking about it during the break. I mean, Big Play VA, he had some fun.
Good finishes, man. Washington was just unreal. So fun.
That Arizona State triple overtime game still gets me. It was, Big Play VA. That was pretty fun. I love that he's still so engaged and he just has fun with it. I get a real kick out of it. So, Vernon Adams, I'm glad that you'll be binge watching that and not necessarily on Netflix anymore. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And, that's one thing that I've really enjoyed the Pac-12 Network's football games in 60s. That they're great for someone like me because it refreshes your memory so fast on everything that happened. So, that's going to be fun to see some of those tomorrow. I'll have that on, I think, tomorrow. And keeping track of the NBA playoffs as they resume tomorrow as well. A few other sports, of course, professional sports in action. And also, I do want to say, as it was announced today, and by it, I mean he made the announcement about himself. Steve Mims, our friend from the Eugene Register Guard, he's moving on from the Eugene Register Guard to a brighter future, we hope. A career change for Steve Mims, he said. More on that to come. And you can follow him on Twitter, at least for now, at SteveMims_RG. But Steve moving on from the Eugene Register Guard. I'll tell you what, Steve, going to miss you at Autzen, Matthew Knight, PK Park, everything in between. A lot of people have been reading his stuff in the Register Guard here a long time. So, Steve, good luck, my friend. Next beverage on me. I'm Joey Mack. Everybody have a great weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday.
I'm probably okay to have one more drink before I drive home. I'm probably okay. I open the window to stay alert. Probably okay. I just popped some gum in my mouth.
Step out of the car, please.